Manipulation tactics to use on a healed individual.
Yep, you heard that right. That's what we're doing now. We're teaching people to be cruel to other people. I was going to originally post a different video, but I found this and I was so shocked by it that I thought, oh my goodness. I know there's a bunch of people that are just exclusively in the YouTube community and they're not on TikTok, so you don't know some of the things that go on over there. I was one of those people until recently, and after I found out what people are really doing on TikTok, I was like, yo, on YouTube, y'all need to know about this. So watch this video and then I'll put the stitches and we'll talk about it after. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe.
Now, this is method two, the being fixable method. Now, where a lot of people go wrong on this is they think that you can simply just be scum and things are going to work out for you. Well, that is part of it. There is much more nuance to it. Like, if you're just simply scum, some of these people aren't going to want to deal with you. The key part is to know what flaws are deal breakers and what flaws aren't deal breakers. Examples: if you talk about not being loyal, that's probably going to be a deal breaker. But if you talk about struggling with communication, it probably won't be. But the real key part with these flaws is to mention that you have them, but never actually show that you have them. What do I mean by this? I mean, you can say something like, yo, full disclosure, I'm not the best at communication. However, when a situation arises where you have to communicate your ass off. But while you're communicating, say, I know I'm not the best at communication, but I am trying. I hope, I'm doing okay right now. And you can always swing this into some pretty natural sounding love bombing. Like me, for instance, I'm a bad texter. So whenever I do this, I'll be like, yo, I'm a horrible texter. And the response is always, well, you're texting me just fine. And I'm like, it's different though. And they're like, how's it different? I'm like, I don't know. Like, gosh. And I just brush it off, right? So in their mind, they're like, oh my gosh, Bryce likes me a lot, but he's trying not to show it. But in my mind, they're playing right into my hands. What this whole fake telling on yourself thing does is consciously they think they're better than you, which we need because we need to feed into their ego in this instance. But subconsciously, they know they've never seen you be anything less than spectacular. But speaking of this, we need to feed into their egos more. So what you can do is start love bombing them in ways that aren't exclusively romantic. When they eventually share some bullshit philosophy that they pretend to have, like, oh, when someone does me dirty, I don't even get mad because that has everything to do with them and nothing to do with me, and I value myself, blah, blah, blah. Pretend like that's the most profound shit you've ever heard and not something that they just make up to make themselves feel better. Like, act super impressed. And when they keep blabbering on about it, like, oh, my ex, blah, 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 what you need to do is be like, oh my gosh, can I just tell you, like, the growth you must have had, I find so astounding because, I know I struggle with trying to get that sort of view. So I can't even imagine the journey you must have went on to come across it yourself. And I really just want to say I really admire that. This obviously gasses them up. So you eventually become the guy or gal that makes them feel larger than life. And that's always what you want to do with these healed people. Also, do not be afraid to confide in these people a little bit. Be like, you know what? I have anxiety. And they'll probably say some bullshit to you like, have you tried meditating? You should be like, no, not really. Does it really work like that? And they're always going to be like, yes. Oh my gosh, you have to try it. Blah, blah, blah. Now, here's what you do. You pretend that you tried meditating. And then you check back in on them later and be like, yo, I just want to say I was really stressed out earlier. But then I tried meditating like you said. And I've tried it a few times earlier, but it wasn't really working. But now I feel like it's really starting to have a positive effect. This is going to make them feel like you're getting better and it's going to be their responsibility. They're going to take the credit for you, and that's what they want at the end.
My nigga, why are you evil? Why are you Satan? This is method two? You got more of these bitches?
What do you mean? What do you mean healed individual? Method 2? What the
So, have you hooked up with Ashley yet? No, dude. She said she's healed. She's on this spiritual journey. That's okay, dude. I actually saw a TikTok on how to get somebody to f you if you're desperate.
Like, bro, we know that you're a bad person. Like, you don't need to keep explaining in different ways that you're a bad person and you're a bad person to other people. We understand. But on a bigger note, people acting like manipulation isn't a form of abuse. Like, y'all be making it seem like it's, oh yeah, maybe I fibbed a little bit, maybe I led them on a little bit. No. You twisting someone's trust into being with you or staying with you or putting up with your actions, it's just really weird, man. And I get it, bro. Like, your whole account is probably like satire or something. You don't actually act like this. Or if you do act like this, you think it's kind of cute. You think it's part of your personality. You think it's all fun, no harm. But people every day are susceptible to things like this. To the point of psychological scarring. Shoot, 70% of our generation needs therapy because of manipulative relationships.
So I'm not saying that man is a narcissist, but if he is, he's a very self-aware one. And of course, if you're new here, I'm a narcissist. I actually have narcissistic personality disorder. A lot of people ask me, do narcissistic, toxic people know what they are doing? And you see right there, that man right there, he knows exactly what he is doing. That person knows what he's doing. Just like a lot of narcissistic people will do, they study people. They practice techniques and things like that. If this doesn't work, let me adjust. Let me readjust on the fly and things like that. And does this stuff work? Yeah, it works all the time. It absolutely does work. He did another couple of videos where he says, "Oh, I'm not trying to hurt people. I'm just trying to tell people how to do what they need to do." He just used the word love bombing. So he's very self-aware of what he's doing, y'all. This is not an attack on that person. This just manipulation. It is what it is. He also posted this video about learning how to make people cry on purpose.
This is exactly why sometimes I put myself in a position to see someone genuinely cry, so then when they fake cry, I can tell the difference. And it's not as nefarious as people want to believe.
He tried to downplay what he said. He's like, well, it's not as nefarious as y'all make it seem out to be, but you know that it is. To intentionally get a rise out of people and affect their emotions in such a way to make them cry, so you know if they're being fake or manipulative, is oof. A lot of people, narcissistic people, think that you are trying to manipulate them with your tears, because that's what narcissistic people do. They manipulate you with their tears.
And this is why I say that you need to stay safe in these spiritual streets. Because I'm not sure if this creator is aware, all shade to this creator, but the last thing that we need in the world is more shitty people. Like, why would you teach someone to go out of their way to undo healing work? This is why grounding work is so important. This is why spiritual protection is so important. This is just as weird as those practitioners who are getting on this app and teaching people how to make someone who gaslit them, manipulated them, abused them, treated them like total shit to be obsessed with them. Why would you want someone who did not value you in the first place to be obsessed with you and just further block the person that's meant for you in the first place? You all be weird as fuck.
This man is the exact opposite of those narcissists that be on TikTok that try to talk about the things that they've done in like a method of taking accountability or something like that. He's literally no remorse. And I don't understand how you fully conceptualize that you're doing a bad thing to somebody and then continue to perpetuate and do that thing with no remorse. But to teach other people is a wild, wild thing. And maybe part of this is a joke. He's not serious, but I don't know him. I don't know that. All I know is that he's telling people how to manipulate somebody. Somebody's writing down notes and somebody is like taking this home and using this.
First of all, I said that my type was vulnerable, troubled, traumatized, emotionally damaged, and mentally.
Bro, it's one thing to teach men to be manipulative, shitty people, but it's another thing to do it, and then when somebody calls you out on it, you try to gaslight them into thinking that's not what you're actually doing. If you're going to teach men to be manipulative and deceitful and shitty to women, at least own up to it. I used to wonder if you were like a character, but now I know you aren't a character because you teach these men these awful manipulation tactics, and then when a viewer calls you out, you immediately use those manipulation tactics on your viewer trying to call you out. It's like you know what you're doing is wrong, but you don't want to admit to it. But you also love the attention you're getting, so you keep doing it anyways. I get making controversial videos like this gives you the most views, and you're definitely getting a lot of attention from women who you seem to be obsessed with. But if this ever blows up in your face, everyone warned you.
Popularity of men like this is what happens when ugly men's inability to accurately evaluate their appearance meets an attractive man's inability to distinguish his pretty privilege from his intelligence. Because nothing this man says is particularly genius, and he's not a master manipulator. He's just hot, and I'm assuming good in bed, because idiots like him tend to be. And most people, including women, are more shallow than they'd like to admit. And that is why this works for him, because it's not about what he does. It is about how he looks. And then the woman that he's involved with doing what women do best, which is projecting a personality onto him that she wants him to have because she likes how he looks. And she's never going to admit that to herself. But her friends who are not attracted to this man are going to find his creepiness readily apparent and are going to find his attempts at manipulation extremely see-through. You're bathing in Windex, sweetie. But you are hot, and that is why it works for you. But the Quasimodos watching his videos thinking that their time is well spent actively investing in becoming a worse human being rather than, I don't know, developing an attractive skill or going to the gym or admitting to themselves that the reason why they are not getting something might have to do with their atrocious personality and nothing else. It's not going to work for you, sweetie. It's not going to work for you because his tactics aren't working for him either. It's his appearance. Okay? Women are shallow too. We all are. There you go.
This man has a whole playlist of videos just like this, and he called it manipulation. What happened to you? Why are you like this? This might be one of the most nefarious individuals I think I've ever seen on this app. I've never seen so much raw and unfettered evil in my entire life.
Man's crimes are obvious, and also he's basically an infant, so I'm not going to talk much about his actual behavior. But I will say that men who say the quiet part out loud about their abusive tactics are showing us how obvious misogyny is in releasing us from shame. The truth of the matter is, abusive behavior, misogyny, patriarchy is incredibly loud. It looks like this more than it operates in silence, truly. And I believe that that is why so many women exist in constant shame about needing to know better. When you see stories online of women talking about how they entered an abusive cycle or were treated terribly, all of the comments are like, girl, could have never been me. I would have done X, Y, and Z differently. And the statistics show that none of you would have done differently because it's only obvious from the outside. But patriarchy and abusive systems, including the ones that we existed in by our parents, are our water and we're fish. So the shame, we're entitled to rage. Because these are our options.
Okay, so I just want to put y'all on game because I be telling like the people I'm close with every time they get out of the relationship and every time they walk into a new setting with somebody, what not to say because I had to learn my lesson when I was a teenager myself. So anytime you get out of a relationship with somebody in your past, please hear me out. Do not, I repeat, do not tell the person that you're talking to what happened in your past relationship. Because when you tell the person that you're speaking to what happened in your past relationship, you're basically signing another contract to get over again. Anytime when a guy trying to get to know you, they're basically trying to see how they can use you, how they can abuse you if you're that type of woman to put up with his bullshit. Anytime if somebody that you're speaking to and asking you what happened between your past relationship, do not tell them what happened. Tell them that we just grew apart. That's all you got to say. You don't have to say anything else. Only we just grew apart. It just didn't work out. We grew apart. You don't got to tell the guy that he cheated on you, he beat on you, he used you, or he played you.
This type of manipulation tactic would not work on a truly healed individual because a truly healed individual would understand that you cannot fix people. It doesn't matter if somebody has all the potential in the world, whether or not they act on that is 100% up to them. Because most people who have dedicated themselves to the healing journey and process were probably the only person that was able to pull themselves up out of that darkness that they were in. See, you reach this dangerous point in your healing journey where you truly understand that you do not need other people. That in fact, most energetic transactions leave you in debt when dealing with other people. So you become very selective about who you interact with and to what degree. If somebody that I'm romantically interested in came to me and said, I'm a bad communicator, the next question out of my mouth is, well, what practical exercises are you implementing to better your communication? If you cannot give me some tangible thank you for your time, that will be all. Because then I know that we can't even get to the next level, in my opinion, and what is the more important part of that conversation, which is communication. How are you working on your comprehension? People communicate in a multitude of ways. How are you better positioning yourself to fully understand what somebody is saying? How are you working to adjust yourself so that you are not viewing this life experience through the literal lens of self-centeredness?
I mean, off the bat, this guy gave me Dennis Reynolds vibes from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
I took a new tack.
We need to use our privilege as much as we possibly can to protect people. How can you not see that?
We need to use our privilege to protect people as much as we can. How can I not see that?
Because if we don't, who will?
Because if we don't, who will?
Exactly. What we need is a revolution.
Exactly. What we need is a revolution. Simply regurgitating back to them exactly what they're saying to each other in their ridiculous echo chambers is all they want. And then we can get what we want.
They can't take us seriously because this is a game to them. It's just a way to get something that they want, or it's fun sometimes for them, but nevertheless, it's nothing serious. It's just a game. Now, I'm not talking about all men, obviously. I'm talking about these types of men. But you know what? When I went down the rabbit hole of checking out some of his videos, I was still shocked by the content that he was creating, even though I would see one that's bad and then I'll be like, it can't get worse. And it always was. He would say stuff like this.
You don't owe anybody anything. I can literally say or do whatever I want to anybody I want within the confines of law, and what exactly is going to happen to me? As long as I'm willing to accept the social repercussions, shouldn't be a problem. If I'm walking outside in a random area and I see a family of 4 and I just don't like the cut of their jib, I can flip them the bird, and guess what? They shouldn't have gone outside that day if they weren't prepared for something like that to happen. In that situation, I'd have nothing to lose because I don't care about that family. You guys got to understand there's a big difference between, oh my gosh, it'd be so cool, it'd be so sweet if everyone did this, and it's someone's duty to do that thing. If you're living your life thinking you owe people things, that means you're living in debt. And what happens to people when they're in debt? What happens to their mental health? Not good things, okay? We all fall victim to it, thinking we owe people things. I'm like, oh, I owe it to my mom to do X, Y, Z. Boom, I'm suffering. Oh, I owe it to these haters to rub it in their face. Boom, I'm suffering. And really, we should all be focused on being our best selves, whatever that means to us in particular.
And you know what? I had some mixed reviews all by myself, because as much as everything he said, like in the first beginning, like the beginning of his thing, like, ban that. I don't know what he's on. That is crazy. But the last bit, yeah, I'm not gonna lie. It's that, I don't know. I think I kind of get where he's coming from. Is it me? Am I bugging? Or does something make sense in what he's talking about? But anyway, even when I thought I was relating to him on this level, yeah, he then posts something like this.
Normalize doing people dirty just because you can. What you have to realize is you don't owe these people anything. I was dating this girl, right, and we were in a fight, and she was like, I just don't know how you can hurt me and not care. And I was like, that's not true. I do care. And she was like, no, you don't. And she started crying. It was that real guttural cry. Sounded like her pure life essence was in pain. That real mentally ill cry where you can tell something's not right up there. And I'm just listening. I'm like, damn, I feel nothing right now. Like nothing at all. And it was so liberating. I told her, I was like, you know what, you're right. I don't think I care. You should probably move on and find somebody else. She was like, what? She was still crying. I was like, I'm hearing you right now, and it's not doing anything for me. I don't know if I was just, pretending to care this entire time, and then I started believing the fantasy, because that's what society wanted me to do, and it's just, it's so complicated, but, it's just, right now I'm unfazed. If anything, I'm just annoyed a little bit, but also I like it kind of, because it's like, damn, I really meant this much to you, but like at the same time, I guess you're just not the one, because if you were the one, I would probably care. And that's nothing against you.
You know what? I feel like all those teachers did a very good job explaining all of this. I think it is worth remembering that it could be satire, although it doesn't look like it. But yes, we could try to remember that. I thought it was worth posting this video because women really need to know what's going on out there. People will take advantage of you. It never crossed my mind that I shouldn't tell a love interest my previous relationship and why it broke down. Like, I thought it was like a good stepping stone into a new relationship. Everybody's transparent and honest and everybody knows exactly what's going on. But when I'm hearing these stitches, like, it makes sense. Just don't overshare, don't do too much. And I think it's easy for women to overshare and give because that's how we are socialized. We are the ones who are helping out mostly with the siblings and the chores, especially in the houses and stuff like that. And what I've seen around me, or my community, so to speak, unfortunately, boys are socialized different. They are kind of more of takers. So takers are going to take, the best we can do is to teach the giver to not just give to absolutely everyone. The vetting process has to be top tier. That's the best we can do. Otherwise, these guys, they're just going to carry on like this. These men, they are not remorseful. But anyway, I'm frustrated with this topic yet again. I want to hear what you think, though, about it. And also, do you really think that a healed person can never get wrapped up again in a situation like this? Or do you think that's the power of manipulation? The fact that it can work on absolutely anybody at any time if we're not careful? Or does that mean that people think they're healing when they haven't healed? And so when they go out there, they're easily caught back into this net. I don't know. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below, and I'll see you in the next video. Cheerio.
I have no beef with this creator. It's very obvious the majority of their content is not meant to be taken seriously, but I wanted to respond to this. Obviously, there are responses citing empathy and reasons why you shouldn't do people dirty just because you can. It's wrong, blah, blah, blah. But I like cautionary tales. I don't believe in karma, the universe righting wrongs, natural balances being restored, none of that. But I do believe that humans are incredibly consistent. And if you make a habit of consistently doing people dirty or treating people poorly, not only will you have a terrible reputation, but your chances of doing someone dirty who doesn't take being done dirty very well and retaliates, in the moment or forever, drastically increases. So, should you choose to live a life where you do people dirty simply because you can, make sure you can always see over your shoulder.
Chica,